All right, let's switch it up to quarterbacks now. Zach, we mentioned this a little bit yesterday. Zach Jackson in his column with The Athletic, and then he repeated it with Ken and Lima.
Jeremy Fowler said the same thing on ESPN.
And then Jeremy Fowler said it on ESPN, that the expectation is that Kirk Cousins is going to get cut. The Falcons are saying they're not going to cut him. He gets a $10 million roster bonus on Monday. The Monday is the day he would get that roster bonus. So the assumption is if they can't trade him in the next couple of days, that by Sunday, the latest, they will cut him. Now, they claim they're not going to, but I don't know that anybody believes them. Maybe they will prove us wrong. Who knows? And the expectation is that if the Falcons do cut Kirk Cousins, that the Browns seem to be the team he's going to end up on. Now, Charles Davis was on with us yesterday. Dustin, you weren't here.
I saw the clips.
Yeah, and he made an interesting comment where he said if they sign Cousins, he thinks they're less likely to draft a quarterback at 2. Now, I think the Browns are crazy if they allow Kirk Cousins to be a factor into whether I'm fine with signing Cousins. I'm not fine if you're not drafting a quarterback at 2 because you signed Kirk Cousins. If you're not signing a quarterback at 2 because you don't think anybody's worth it, okay. But if you're doing it because of Kirk Cousins, that's insane. I mean, I was looking through his game log last year. He had 3 games last year, 2 against Tampa, 1 against Dallas, where in those 3 games he threw like 12 touchdowns and 1 pick. In his other 10 games, he threw, I think, 3 touchdowns and 17 picks.
In weeks 10 through 15.
Yeah.
So I also looked at the game log. Because I remembered the end of last season, him being so bad, and I'm having a really hard time shaking that.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it's the Achilles. He could certainly be better. I'm having a hard time separating what we saw at the end of last season from Kirk Cousins and trying to project how the hell that works in Cleveland when, A, he's not in a dome anymore, B, the weather here is not a dome, and it's windy when he had no zip, no velocity on the ball. Weeks 10 through 15 last season, the Falcons went 1-4. They were fighting for a playoff spot, by the way. So these are important games. These are not daily games. Completed 62.7% of his passes, 236 yards per game, significantly lower than his season average. In those final 5 games, he threw 1 touchdown, 9 picks, and was sacked 11 times.
Yeah, his arm's shot, guys. He's
old.
He's not the same player he once was. And you said it. They played in a dome. Put him outside in Cleveland with the wind. Like, I don't trust this guy to be able to go out there in November and December and be able to zip the ball through the air.
I got one more stat on that because sometimes I like when the eye test says it, I need a number to back it up to feel good about it. According to Next Gen Stats, reliable, right? If Next Gen puts it out there, we're probably going to trust it.
Yeah.
At his NFL Combine, they test the arm strength, max velocity. Kirk Cousins' max velocity at the Combine was 59.8 miles per hour on a throw. In that Week 12 loss to the Chargers, during that stretch of games we just talked about, he became the first quarterback in the Next Gen Stats era to not throw a pass over 36 miles per hour in a game.
Oh, my God.
So that's like 50% of what his max velocity is with a minimum of 20 attempts.
Yeah.
He did not throw a single ball over 36 miles per hour, which in context is about 55 to 60% of what his max velocity is.
Yeah.
That was in a dome, inside in a game he threw 2 pick sixes.
Yeah.
I don't know how it translates, and I know Zach says that he's the most likely option. I take Flacco over Kirk Cousins any day of the week in this situation.
It's irrelevant in the end because
granted,
whether it's Flacco or Cousins or Minshew, they're not winning anything with any of those guys, in my opinion.
That's fair.
But if they're going to just say, well, he's coming off the Achilles, here's my problem with coming off the Achilles, as someone who has had an Achilles tear. He got worse as the season went along. That doesn't make any sense. If it was the Achilles, he should be getting better as the season gets along. It was his arm. It was an issue with his arm. I don't know if it's just, I don't know what it is.
Now, to be fair, I mean, there is a correlation between your lower body strength and your footwork and your plant foot and the ability to create momentum.
But why would it be getting worse as the season went along? If anything, his Achilles just gets stronger.
Well, I mean,
that
is fair. I think that you would hope that it would get better. It didn't. Overall, dude, I'm out on Kirk Cousins.
I mean,
give me Flacco like all day, every day.
So you take Flacco over Cousins too.
100%.
But can Flacco play anymore either? I don't know.
I don't know, but I know Cousins.
Think about what we're talking about. We're talking about like the lesser of 2 evils here. It's not great options for the Browns.
Gardner Minshew?
At least Minshew is young enough that I think he can make it through a season.
I hate to say it because I don't want the drama that he brings, but Aaron Rodgers is probably the best. Now, he wouldn't play here, I can't imagine.
He's going to end up in Pittsburgh, watch.
But he's the best option of the bad lot. I mean, he wasn't that. He was okay last year. He's at this point. Forget even the off the field stuff, or forget the off the field like that stuff.
I watched Rodgers last year. He was fine in moments.
But
I thought he still has the ability.
He causes distraction though, and he's 40 years old.
I just hope. Don't you hope that like after last year, if you're Rodgers, and
Yeah.
again, maybe he doesn't care about anything or
yeah.
what people think about him, and maybe that's the case. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the guy has had an awesome career, Hall of Fame career,
think he
and
wanna go-
he's
yeah.
whimpering out.
Yeah.
Like
I don't know.
what player who is a competitor wants to end your
Right.
career like that?
Yeah, no. To me, the only team that makes sense is the Steelers. I don't know why he'd go to the. I don't know why the Giants would want him, and I don't know why he'd want the Giants. That doesn't make any sense to me.
They have to
Same
win.
thing with the Browns. The Steelers are the only good roster that needs a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean they were a playoff team a year ago,
Yeah.
missing a quarterback.
Right now, I don't think Rodgers at this point is good enough for them to win a Super Bowl. I don't think Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers are beating Mahomes and Burrow and Allen. But at least you got a chance.
The Jets' defense was not great last year.
No.
They didn't have a lot. They didn't. I mean,
but they had weapons on offense,
weapons.
though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Steelers have weapons on offense now too.
Well, they do now with Metcalf. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, then they've re-signed Najee.
No, they didn't. He's gone.
He's in the Chargers.
He went to the Chargers.
Sorry,
yeah.
excuse me.
They'll
I thought, who did they re-sign somebody or no?
no running back.
Not
They
yet.
signed what's his name? The longtime Eagle guy, Gainwell. I think they signed
Ken
him.
Gainwell.
Oh yeah.
And they got Jalen Warren, so he's back.
How did
but
I miss that Najee?
He
I
went
could
to
see
the
them
Chargers.
signing Nick Chubb.
You mentioned it a couple of times.
Yeah. I
They
can
got
see
they
that.
got Freiermuth still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like him.
So they got talent there, no doubt.
You mentioned other options outside
Yeah.
of Cousins, and I'm just curious your take on Flacco, because for the people who didn't like Flacco and how it
Yeah.
ended here, it was the turnover machine, right? It's like, oh, he turned the ball.
Yeah.
Cousins threw 15 picks last year and 17 touchdowns. Like,
Listen, I'm totally fine with them going with Joe Flacco. You know what? I'm with you guys. I think he's better than Kirk Cousins. I don't know that Joe can play anymore. All I know is it was fun watching Browns football when he played.
Yeah.
Even with his flaws, it was way too many turnovers.
Yeah.
And the Browns are not winning 10, 11 games with Joe Flacco. It's just not going to happen. But they're not winning 10, 11 with anybody else. So Joe Flacco at least might give us some fun football for a handful of weeks.
Maybe he comes back on the show,
he's been
too.
here. He likes it here. We like him.
Yeah.
I did a podcast with him. He was awesome. I
Came
love
on
talking to him.
UCSS?
He came on UCSS. He was awesome with us. The guy. I mean,
That's great.
I'd rather have him. Minshew too. He's got a little flair to his game. Kirk Cousins is shot and he's vanilla. He's got no personality. So let's go with Flacco or Minshew. Who else?
And
is there?
the thing with Flacco, the one
Yeah.
thing you could say about him, dude is still at his age,
Yeah.
probably one of the top 3 deep ball passers in the league.
still has
Yeah,
the
he's
arm.
still got the
talent.
arm.
Last
And that's
year,
where
yeah.
Judy can really make a difference.
Yeah. And I think unlike earlier in his career, he'd be good with the young quarterback they draft.
I agree.
I think so.
At
this point,
Aditi told us he was great with Anthony Richardson last year, and I know he had said in the past, "My job isn't
Right,
to."
but that was a long time ago.
yeah, exactly.
That was when he
And-
was in his prime.
And now at this point, coming off of that with Anthony Richardson,
Yeah.
I think we're all in agreement. We assume
Just one point on Richardson. Are they trying to trade him, Indy?
they said yesterday after signing Daniel Jones, it's going to be an open quarterback battle between those.
But then I saw some reports
Yeah.
out there that were some interest. Maybe the Steelers were interested.
I'm sure they would consider trading him. I mean, I don't know what's his trade value right now. I mean,
Third,
who's
fourth
giving up
round pick.
anything?
It's low.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying. I mean, the guy's very, very.
I take
talented.
a flyer on him.
That was my question. Would you
Yeah.
be interested if you're the Browns?
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, what
Yeah,
are the
I'd rather-
odds he'll put it all together?
Hey, let me give you a
Dude,
scenario.
I met him.
Yeah.
And I did one of those games, and,
Yeah.
and I knew that he was like so just needed time. He was like
Yeah.
it was like talking to a teenage kid, and he was this
Right.
you know
It was-
in college,
yeah.
his 3rd year in college.
Yeah.
We've talked about the scenario the Browns drafted 2 quarterbacks. One at 2, one
Yeah.
in 3rd, 4th, whenever you. I'd rather take a flyer on Anthony Richardson as that
Yes.
second quarterback than
100%.
Well,
McCord or whoever the
Yeah, but
options
then
are later.
if you draft a quarterback out of Anthony Richardson and Kenny Pickett, who's your starter week 1?
I don't care. You got two
really-
lottery tickets.
But here's who cares
Yeah.
about this year?
Yeah,
Okay,
Who cares?
fair enough.
Who
Two
cares who
lottery
starts
tickets.
week
Good
week
point.
one?
I guess it doesn't matter. You're right.